Have you ever wondered what would happen if Arthur Morgan came back? Not as a ghost, not as a legend whispered around campfires, but actually back, eyes open, lungs full of cold 1,899 air, and every single memory still burning inside him. The betrayals, the losses, the cough. Micah. What if Arthur remembered all of it? And this time, he refused to let any of it happen. Today, we're giving Arthur Morgan one more chance, and we're going to find out, is one man's redemption enough to save everyone he loves? Or does the universe have a way of dragging good men back into the dark? It starts at the beginning. Same camp, same faces. Dutch van der Linde is reading on the porch. Hosea Matthews is sharpening a knife. A world that looks identical, except inside Arthur's chest beats the memory of a man who has already died. He remembers every mistake, every job that went wrong, every moment he chose loyalty over his own conscience. And this time, he doesn't waste a single second. Within the first week before anyone even mentions Blackwater, Arthur quietly steals Dutch's ear. We need money, real money. I know a way, but we do it clean, we do it smart, and we do not cross Leviticus Cornwall. Dutch laughs, calls him paranoid, but Arthur has seen where pride leads Dutch van der Linde. He's already 3 moves ahead. But here's where Arthur makes his first critical mistake. He pushes too hard, too fast. Trying to warn Lenny, his young, brilliant friend, about the St. Denis job that gets him killed, Arthur lets something slip. He describes Lenny's death in exact detail. The rooftop, the Pinkertons, the shot. Lenny's eyes go cold. How do you know that, Arthur? How do you know any of this? The camp starts talking. Whispers spread. Even Hosea, the wisest man Arthur has ever known, pulls him aside, eyes narrowed, voice low. Son, who told you these things? Arthur has shown too much, too soon. And now the most dangerous man in camp, the man who watches everything, trusts no one, and smiles through all of it, Micah Bell, is watching Arthur very, very carefully. Just as Micah corners Arthur behind the stables, hand resting on his revolver, that sick grin already spreading across his face. I don't know what your game is, Morgan, but I intend to find out. Arthur stares down the barrel of a future he's already survived once. And right before we find out what Arthur does next, because Micah Bell just made the worst mistake of his miserable life. He tipped his hand too early, and Arthur Morgan now knows exactly what that means. That night, Arthur finds Hosea alone. He doesn't beg, doesn't ramble. He just says 4 words. The Blackwater job fails. Hosea goes still. Tell me something that hasn't happened yet, he says quietly. So Arthur does. He predicts the next morning's weather. He predicts the exact words Dutch will say at breakfast. He predicts a letter from a Pinkerton informant that arrives by noon. By sundown, Hosea Matthews, the greatest con man who ever lived, believes every word. Together, they start laying the groundwork. They convince Lenny to stay away from St. Denis. They quietly funnel money out of Dutch's reach, building an escape fund. And in a move nobody could have predicted, Arthur approaches Charles Smith. I know you've got 1 foot out the door, Arthur says. I'm asking you to stay, but stay with me, not with Dutch. Charles searches his face for a long moment. You sound like a man who's already seen how this ends. I have, Arthur says simply. Charles stays. Everything is working. The gang is stabilizing. Hosea is with him. Charles is with him. Even Sadie Adler joins the inner circle faster than she ever should have. And then Dutch unravels faster and harder than Arthur anticipated. Because here's what Arthur forgot. Changing the pieces doesn't change the player. Dutch van der Linde doesn't need Blackwater to go wrong. He doesn't need the Pinkertons closing in. He just needs to feel like he's losing control. And Arthur quietly redirecting money, quietly building alliances, quietly whispering to Hosea has made Dutch feel exactly that. In a rage, Dutch burns the escape fund. He reveals to the full gang that Arthur has been holding back intel, that Arthur Morgan thinks he knows better. The camp splits down the middle. And Micah, patient as a vulture, finally steps forward. He's been lying to all of us from day one. It's an all-out war inside the camp. Guns drawn, brothers against brothers. Everything Arthur tried to protect, on the verge of being destroyed not by an army of Pinkertons, but by the very men he was trying to save. And this is where Arthur Morgan proves that the man who died once on that mountain, the man who found peace in his final moments, hasn't forgotten what peace actually costs. He doesn't fight Dutch. He doesn't fight Micah. He confesses. In front of everyone. He tells the whole camp the truth. Not the supernatural version, just the human one. I have been holding back. I have been making plans without telling you, because I have watched this family tear itself apart before, and I was terrified of letting it happen again. Dutch is stunned. Micah is calculating. But the rest of the gang, John, Abigail, Jack, Lenny, Charles, they hear something in Arthur's voice that no lie could carry. They hear grief. Dutch, for just one fragile moment, becomes the man he used to be. Why didn't you just talk to me, Arthur? Because, Arthur says quietly, you never listened the first time. The gun lowers. Micah isolated, exposed, outvoted backs down. And as the camp settles into an uneasy, complicated, real peace, Arthur Morgan walks to the edge of the cliff overlooking the valley and watches the sun go down. He doesn't have a perfect future. He doesn't have a cure. He still has the cough. He still has a debt that this world will one day try to collect. But tonight, every single person he loves is still alive. Arthur Morgan was never looking for a happy ending. He was looking for a moment, just one moment, where the scales balanced. Where a man who spent his whole life taking could look back and say, I gave back more than I took. Maybe in this life, that moment finally came. If this story hit different, smash that like button and drop in the comments. What's the first thing you'd change if you were Arthur? Let's debate it. I'll see you in the next one.